In a job interview, what if you were asked, if you could be any type of tree in the world, what would it be, and why? How about the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you, and why? What if you were on a conference call getting lost in what's going on, and your boss says, Tom, what's your opinion? Huh, what? What if a political activist was knocking on the door? You didn't have time. What if a telemarketer called you and you didn't want to be rude, but you also didn't want to be on the line? What if you were crossing the border and someone says, what's in your trunk? What if your 14-year-old daughter tells you she wants to start dating? If your jaw dropped open and nothing came out, or your mouth opened and a flood of unorganized thoughts and words came out, this session is for you. We are engaged in unprepared conversations daily. What I want you to walk away with from today is 1, the ability to refine the technique to think quickly. 2, organize and articulate innovative and unique thoughts thoroughly. 3, engage the audience in short time. In my very first job, I was 14 years old, and my peer asked, what's up? It's the first time I ever heard the question asked so casually. I was silent. In fact, to this day, I don't think I ever answered it. My response, by the way, is not much. How many of you are familiar with the term cocktail party syndrome? Oh, it's a real thing. According to Wikipedia, it's also known as Williams syndrome, and it means the unusually cheerful demeanor and ease with strangers. I coined the phrase for myself as being the opposite, as leaning against the wall in social situations, doing my painfully shy and introverted best not to say anything dumb. I want us all off the wall and into action. We practice these skills as Toastmasters in club meetings doing what? Table topics. I want to share with you today how work, practice, and preparation, and yes, I use the words practice and preparation, took me from this painfully shy and introverted individual to the 2-time reigning District 45 Table Topics champion. I tell you this not to say, look at me. I mention this because thinking quickly on my feet is, in the present tense, my Achilles heel. We must constantly work at it. The payoff? More promotions, more sales, deeper relationships, more impactful conversations. We can influence others by thinking quickly. To quote Forrest Gump, Mom always said life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I'm working on the accent. Tom Dowd always says, life is like a tabletop. The audience doesn't know what they're going to get, but the speaker does. Our minds tell us to instantly answer the question being asked. So let me ask you a question, and shout out the first one-word answer that comes to mind. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Disney World.
Portugal.
I was waiting for someone to say Turks and Caicos, and that's a hyphenated 2-word.
Yeah.
We selfishly thought of an immediate response and then blurted it out. Why did I say selfishly?
Came from the South. It's about us. The ego.
The ego, it's about us. And we'll get to that in just a little bit.
Personal preference.
Preference. Now that we have our one-word answer, now what? What we really need to do in that very short period of time is anticipate the follow-up questions with answers relating to who, what, where, why, when, and how. We must answer, now what? So let's stick with the travel example. And let's use Hawaii. Who might you go with?
Husband.
Husband?
Friends. Down.
What would you do while you're there?
I followed you out.
None of your business. Where would you go? Not just the destination, but where would you go?
The beach.
The beach.
Underwater diving.
Water. Why would you go? Because it's cold here. When would you go? Time of day, season, time of the week. How would you get there? Plan. And you can have some fun with it. You can paddle across. You can walk across. Water. Is there a right or a wrong answer to this?
No.
Then confidently roll with it. Toastmasters also teaches the prep method. Point, reason, example, point. If you meld both of these techniques together, you can formulate a very strong answer. Who are some of the more famous impromptu comedians out there? Robin Williams. That's the one that always comes to mind for me, too. He's known for his comedic ramblings that have a flow, a story, a message. You think he makes that stuff up on the spot? No. He's refined and honed these skills over years of practicing his material. You can go back to some speeches you've written, table topic responses you've given, or conversations you've had at the dinner table over the years. You can find a way to fit in the situation or message you want to share. You too have material. So let me share a story with you. My wife and very naive 14-year-old daughter were driving down the road when my daughter asked what that abandoned building was. My very reluctant wife answered, "That was a topless bar." Now, before you think I'm about to get inappropriate, my daughter asked what they do when it rains. Now, what are some of the points you can take away from this story?
Your daughter's young for her age.
The naivety of children.
Answer the question that was asked.
Answer the question that was being asked. Twists and turns to a story. Casual conversations gone awry. The same story can have different points based off of the circumstances. Our conversation success comes when our responses become stories that resonate with the audience. We all have stories. In fact, our impromptu responses can really be familiar anecdotes we've told many times over. You'll never be stumped again. Even in a business situation, you can use the prep method. Recap some past work that was done. Point, reason, current example, and a final point in a business story setting. I want you to unlock the hesitation and practice the new way of giving an impromptu, prepared narrative. That is just as strong as any well-rehearsed speech. It's audience participation time again. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue.
Green.
Green. Fuchsia.
White.
Red. Periwinkle.
What's your favorite food?
Oranges. Red.
Remember those answers. I'm looking for a volunteer.
John will.
Carl, come on up.
All right, go get him.
Love Toastmaster.
We're working on it.
Hello.
Everyone, this is Carl.
I'm a
Carl,
bit shy.
what is your favorite food?
Fish.
What is your favorite color?
Purple.
In 30 seconds or less, if every time you entered a room and you had a theme song, what would it be and why?
A theme song.
Theme song.
Honestly, I'm not into songs. I can't remember any songs. I listen to them. I can't give you a name, or I can't sing. So that really doesn't work for me. I know Jingle Bells. So I would
Trust me,
say,
every time he enters a room, it's going to be Jingle Bell. Thank you, Carl. Why don't you come see me after? I'll give you a What's the point of that exercise?
You tell them.
To teach us that our minds are predisposed to answer the previous question. And we're anticipating something simple. We need to quickly break that mindset. Formulate a new response. And then confidently roll with it. Is there a right or a wrong answer to this? Confidently roll. In a business scenario, we need to be particularly cautious about being led down a prescribed path. That's in-the-box thinking. It's not about making something up. It's about being creative enough to see the whole picture, not just the immediate response. We can share what we do know, and then engage the audience with questions, even rhetorical questions. We can have a conversation. There's no rules that say that we can't. We need to stop answering the questions directly and immediately and start to formulate a story. It's not about slides and graphs that will grab their attention. It's about stories. I was talking to some high school students about job interviewing, and I asked the tree question. And I got the typical maple, oak, pine, birch. And then I got to the person I perceived to be the troublemaker. And he stood up. And he said, I'd be a cactus. Is cactus a tree?
No.
He said, because I'm prickly. And no one knows me. And every once in a while, a little animal will burrow in and start to feed off of me. And I'll start to feed off of that. I wish more people would get to know me. Then he sat down. Besides a lesson of making rash judgments, there's a lesson in here about being memorable. What truly makes us human is emotions. It's not numbers, it's stats. We need to emotionally connect with the audience. In my very first table topics contest, I finished in 3rd place out of 3 people at the club level. The next year I competed in both table topics and international. I was having some good fortune with the international. With table topics, no one competed at the club level, so I moved on. There were only 2 of us at the area contest. We both moved on. So there I was, standing at the division level, not knowing if I should be there or not. I had just given my international speech, and I had done fairly well. And I was last to go with table topics. And they asked the question, if you were given $750,000, how would you split that 3 ways equally among charities? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my 3 daughters. And thus started the freight train that turned into a train wreck. I gave some answer about their college tuition, and I was trying to be funny. The division governor came up to me after, and she said, it was chuckling. It was nice of you to throw the contest knowing you were moving on for international. I didn't throw the contest. I blew the contest. There are some lessons that are learned. I was trying to be funny the entire time. I'm not funny. Just ask my wife. I wasn't myself. I wasn't being me. But that's the other lesson. It's not about me. It's about the audience. How is the audience going to relate to my daughter's college tuition? How is that going to resonate with them? It couldn't. The division governor went on to say, it was interesting how you had just given a speech about cystic fibrosis. And she also knew about another speech I gave on animal rescue. And she said, you and I had just been talking about the Japan tsunami before the contest. I should have been doing what she was doing. Reaching back to the past to find a way to emotionally connect with the audience. I could have asked rhetorical questions to engage the audience. I could have found motivational points such as community, caring, or giving that relate to most, if not all, audiences. I had the perfect setup. In Toastmasters, we are taught in a 7-minute speech to have a strong introduction, 3 points or stories to support our message, and a memorable conclusion. Using this teaching, the answer was in the palm of my hands. In a 2-minute table topic, we may not have time for 3 stories to support our message, but we do need a story to support our message. And our very first thought shouldn't be the story. It needs to be the message. What do you want your message to be? You can even use the pros and cons method. But pros and cons don't relate to the story. They relate to the message. Even the simplest questions can throw us off. In a job interview, I've seen far too many people struggle with the question, what's your greatest accomplishment? Is there a right or a wrong answer to this?
No.
Do you see a theme here? Will anyone know what your greatest accomplishment is? No. You could formulate a strong answer and then clearly articulate a message taking one of your accomplishments and how you've overcome a business challenge or achieved a stretch goal or collaborated with some business partners to overcome a business challenge. Especially in a job interview. This self-centered question is really a nod to the value you can add back to the organization. You must relate to the audience. What is an elevator speech?
Nothing.
Short speech to introduce yourself to someone else.
Okay, a short speech to introduce yourself. If you take nothing more out of today, I want you to write out and get to know your elevator speech. A 2-minute version, a 5-minute version, and a 10-minute version. You don't think you'll ever need it? Colleague and I were down in North Carolina on business, and before the meeting we were working out at the hotel gym, and there on the treadmill was our CEO of 300,000 people. We all had our headsets on, no worries. We finished our workout before him, no worries. Get onto the elevator, he wasn't there, and then in comes the hand that stops the door. We didn't have 2 minutes. We had 2 floors. With my elevator speech, I've jotted down several answers over the years. And one that I've come to periodically is the first time I ever heard the phrase, Tom's communication skills are his key strengths. You have to understand. I was a communication major at the University of Delaware, but for 18 years I was told at work I couldn't communicate on my performance appraisals. And I had to take action if I wanted to succeed and improve. So I talk about how I joined Toastmasters and it changed my life and career. And then I talk about some examples of how that has happened. We must also be confident and creative while differentiating ourselves. When I was asked about my bucket list in last year's Table Topics final, I instantly thought about the 4 contestants who went ahead of me. I knew the audience had probably already heard some lists relating to exotic travel or death-defying moments to get over their fear. I had to quickly make the decision to not go down that path. Catherine, let's take a look.
Tell us about any items that are on your bucket list. Tell us about any items that are on your bucket list. Tom Dowd.
Contest chair, ladies and gentlemen, the bucket list. The thing you're going to do when you die. Is it ironic that I was just listening to the song Live Like You Were Dying? I think I'm going to run off and find a bull named Who Man Shoe or whatever he called it in the song. But what about a bucket list? A bucket list tells you you haven't done something that you wanted. I can tell you right now, if I die today, I've done everything that I've ever wanted. I failed miserably. I've been rejected more times than you can imagine in trying to get a book published. I was turned down 4 times for the high school prom. But what I will tell you is that if you have everything that you want, you don't need a bucket list. You can have other stuff you'd like to do, but I would never tell you I have a bucket list. I wouldn't want to jump out of a plane because I'm afraid of heights. But what I will tell you is that I've met the woman of my dreams. As much as I'm sure you love your children, I have the 3 greatest children ever. I live in the greatest state of Maine. Canada's beautiful too, by the way. But I need to ask you the question. Do you need a New Year's resolution every single year? Because you didn't do what you wanted to the year before. Do you need a bucket list in your life because you haven't done everything in your life? If you haven't done it, don't write it down, just do it. Because today is your day. As Martin said, to live and shine. Because today is the day that you don't need your bucket list. Come to the share.
I share this with you to reinforce some of the previous points. It was a chance for me, to be true to myself. But remember, it's not about me. It's about the audience. We can reach down deep down into our hearts and souls, play to our strengths, think about the audience, and then emotionally connect. And then confidently go down that path with no hesitation. Confidence takes us an awful long way. We are presented each day with the need to spontaneously and succinctly convey our thoughts, ideas, and opinions. Those who do it well consistently land the big job or grab that promotion, but more importantly, can influence those around them. Life is one big tabletop. Imagine your own success and then confidently